This video demonstrates how you can use my Visual Cut software to monitor the health of your SQL server. You may be a DBA or someone who enjoys embarrassing DBAs. Wouldn't you like to get an email telling you that currently there are 7 alarm level problems with your SQL server? This email provides a hyperlink to an auto-refreshing web grid, and this grid shows you all the problems that were found. They are limited to those that are below a severity level of 200. There are 5 red-colored problems, which are what Brent Ozar, who is the guy providing SP Blitz, the stored procedure that provides this information, and that's free. You can download it from his website. So Brent refers to the priorities up to 50 as career-ending problems. But the email actually counts all the ones that are below 151 and would send an alert anytime such problems are encountered. And the process can be scheduled to run at any frequency you wish and send you either a daily or hourly alert when these types of problems are found. The web dashboard always gets refreshed. Brent Ozar's stored procedure provides really useful information. So you can see the grouping of the problem, the finding, a URL link that takes you to Brent's website with very specific information about that particular problem. So for example, if I click on this hyperlink, it takes me to information about this particular problem, which is agent alerts not configured. Now this grid allows you to reorder the columns. It allows you to group by something, so I can group by problem grouping, select which columns you want to see and which columns you want to ignore. And you can also change the style of this grid. So you can change to a bootstrap, for example. And all these changes, if you close and come back later on, so for example, if I go and visit this web grid again, it remembers all those options. So let's go back and look at some details about this implementation. If you visit SP Blitz page, you'll see some information about this as well as a very helpful video. If I switch to SQL Server Management Studio, it boils down to running a script that you download from his website. You just run it and it creates the stored procedure for you. Typically, you would create a DBA tools database to just dump that stored procedure in. Optionally, you can also create a table that can list the check IDs that you want to ignore. When you run this stored procedure, and it gives you the results that you just saw, how do you get this information to a web grid, and how do you get this email alert? So I'm going to switch to my Visual Cut software and show you that there's this crystal report called spblitz.rpt. If you send me an email, I'll send you that report. It just connects to SQL Server and runs the stored procedure and gets the same information that you saw. The magic occurs here because Visual Cut allows you to export the crystal report to an auto-refreshing web grid. And it has a little wizard here that controls at what frequency the grid is going to refresh itself, what to name the browser tab, and how to SFTP upload the pieces that populate that grid. You don't need to design anything. It's just web templates that I can provide. The email message, and there's a area here where you can design your email message. It's just an HTML editor. And you can see how that email message is designed. It embeds within it some information from the crystal report that tell you, for example, how many alerts were found. The area here on the right-hand side lists some fields and formulas and parameters for the crystal report that you can embed inside the email message. So if I preview this, you can see that these references to the alarm count and to the threshold for emailing are replaced dynamically with information from the report. So it says found 7 alarm level problems, and those are problems with priority lower than 151. If I run this process, it takes about 3 seconds, which involves exporting the data to an Excel file, processing that Excel file into some JSON data, populating an HTML page from an HTML template, uploading to an SFTP, and in this particular case, it also emails because it found some alarm level problems. How do you avoid emailing when there's no alarms? Let me show you how that works. I'm going to switch to the crystal report design. You can see that there's a parameter here that controls what score is going to be the minimum score for alerting. That parameter is used by a formula that controls whether or not to email. Now here's a formula that specifies that if the count of alarm level problems is more than 0, then I want to return a parameter that provides information about who should I email to. And then it says if I found no alarms, then return VC skip email. When I run this in Visual Cut, in the formula that controls the email to if alert, it returns dynamically the edo@milletsoftware.com. If there were no alerts, it would return VC skip email. And since this formula is embedded in the target for who to email to, this whole emailing process would be skipped if at the time the process runs on a scheduled basis, there are no alert level problems. So in that case, it will just upload the grid and refresh it on the web server or on your shared folder. So this is why I received this email, because there were more than 0 alarm level problems. And just to conclude, here is the grid with all the information.